Worked graveyard shift in a prison that was built in 1910. Saw many spooky things, chairs moving, doors slamming in admin areas, when admin staff was long gone, and of course the occasional self-doubt of, is someone sitting, moving over there? When all inmates are locked in cells and sleeping. Nothing really ever surprised or shocked me. It was a 100-year-old prison that used to do regular executions, had its fair share of riots, and loads of violence. Used to be a maximum security prison until the late 90s. So of course some unexplainable things are going to happen. There's tons of negative energy within those walls. So like I said, I wasn't ever really entirely spooked, just a little startled by it all. Until one night. I was on A unit, which went up 4 stories high of cells and 45 cells long. Each floor was called a tier. I was the only officer on that unit at the time. It's maybe 2 a.m. There is a B unit officer and a rover that goes back and forth between A and B to help us out. The rover was on B unit at the time, so here I am, doing my hourly tier checks to make sure everyone's breathing and no one is tattooing or sneaking a cigarette, as often happens on graveyard. I'm on tier 2, halfway through, and I hear boot steps behind me. I turn, expecting to see the rover, catching up to me. However, I see nothing and the steps stopped. So I keep going along, doing my checks, and I hear them again, 5-10 feet behind me, going at my pace. I turn, see nothing. I shrug it off, as a possible echo of my boots. I continue my checks. On tier 3 now, boots still stepping strong behind me. Now I'm a history buff. I know that rubber-soled shoes weren't invented until around the 1890s, and even still not commonly used, especially in professional dress shoes, until well into 1960s, 70s. This step was a loud, heavy clack of a heel. Not like high heels, more like leather-soled dress shoes. Officers in the 20s and 30s didn't have rubber-soled tactical boots. They typically wore hardened leather-soled shoes. And this is what is crossing my mind as I'm continuing my checks. None of the officers on shift had loud boots on. We wore sound-dampening tactical boots. So when I make this realization, I stopped entirely and just listened. Click, clack, click, clack. Just a couple more times. Maybe 5 seconds of silence goes by. Then click, clack, click, clack, click, clack. It gets fast and louder as if it's running towards me now. Click, clack, click, clack, click, clack. Then boom. It stops almost seemingly right in front of me. I don't move a muscle as I am hearing this plain as day and yet seeing nothing. Then I hear a voice, weak and quiet, like a whisper, but with a tone of anger. It said, "Why are you out?" As if I was an inmate, and I wasn't supposed to be out of my cell. Still nothing and no one is around me, except for sleeping inmates in their cells. So I noped my ass right back to officer's desk. Stayed there for the duration of the shift, just trying to make sense of it. The rover did my checks and counts for me for next couple hours. Great fella. I guess I'm not the only one who has come across Officer Boots, as he was so affectionately named. He has made his presence known to many people, officers and inmates alike. I've also heard many other stories and tales from around the facility, but that was just my spookiest personal experience.